Welcome to the May 2022 edition of Open Source Matters, where we cover the latest news in open source technology. I'm your host, Lloyd Pearson. Let's dive in. Software supply chain security has been a hot topic in recent years, particularly as it relates to open source software. In the past, the biggest concern has been malicious black hat hackers, but hacktivism has become a growing part of the equation. Not long ago, we reported on the maintainer of Faker.js, who intentionally sabotaged this popular open source project, claiming he didn't want to continue providing free services to Fortune 500 companies. Well, with an ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, some open source maintainers have taken it upon themselves to protest the war via changes to their code. Some of this has taken the form of innocuous messages that display anti-war rhetoric. However, one maintainer in particular took it to the next level. Brandon Nozaki Miller, or RIA Evangelist, as he's known on GitHub, published a library on GitHub named Peace Not War that simply printed an anti-war message to the computer it was run on. This package is harmless on its own, but things got interesting when he included it as a dependency in another module he maintains, Node IPC, an extremely popular library for inter-process communication. Users who ran the latest version of Node IPC on a machine in Russia or Belarus would be subject to complete data destruction. This happened because Peace Not War includes obfuscated code to detect devices that are using a Russian or Belarusian IP address and replaces all data on the device with heart emojis. This move has caused much controversy in the open source community. Proponents argue that extreme situations require extreme measures. However, detractors, including the Open Source Initiative and Electronic Frontier Foundation, claim this move is likely to cause collateral damage and hurt the reputation of open source software. Either way, this is a truly unique method for open source developers to demonstrate the power and influence they have over society. Next, let's talk case law, specifically Neo4j v. Graph Foundation. A U.S. District Court in California made a ruling that has been received with some controversy in the open source community. The court case centers around Neo4j's use of the Affero GPL with the addition of the Commons Clause on their enterprise code. The AGPL is a long accepted open source license, but the Commons Clause is part of a more recent effort to restrict specific types of use. To be precise, it prevents you from reselling software containing this license. However, the Graph Foundation interpreted a section of the AGPL that states a licensee may remove any further restriction imposed beyond the AGPL, which the Graph Foundation interpreted to include the Commons Clause. The Graph Foundation publishes a version of the Neo4j enterprise product named ONGDB with the Commons Clause removed. However, the court ruled that only the licensor is allowed to remove additional license restrictions and that the Graph Foundation is in violation of Neo4j's copyright claim. The Open Source Initiative and the Software Freedom Conservancy have both come out in opposition to the court ruling, and they claim that the original intention of the AGPL was to give licensees the right to do exactly what the Graph Foundation did in this situation. This is only a preliminary injunction, and it seems likely that this ruling will be appealed. In the meantime, the code for this project is still available on GitHub, and I encourage you to read the full ruling if you want to learn more. Let's move on to some other open source news. Red Hat has released the 2022 State of Enterprise Open Source Report, in which they interviewed nearly 1,300 IT professionals about the importance of open source technologies. In summary, the vast majority of enterprises consider open source to be a critical component of vendor selection, and overall they expect open source to become more important to their organizations over the coming years, so nothing surprising there. Go check out the report on their website for more details. Happy birthday, Git! The extremely popular developer tool has reached its 17-year anniversary. What started as Linus Torvalds' weekend project has become one of the most ubiquitous tools in the software development stack. Here's to another 17 years. It's time for the open source project rapid fire. Here's all the new projects we're watching. Dagger, a portable dev kit for CI/CD from Solomon Hykes, co-founder and inventor of Docker. Code Verify, a browser extension from Meta to verify the integrity of web pages and detect executed code that's not included in the site's manifest. Fast TreeShap, a Python package from LinkedIn for fast interpretation of the TreeShap algorithm. XGitGuard, a security tool from Comcast to detect secrets exposed on GitHub repositories. Access Undenied on AWS, a security tool from Ermatic to analyze access denied events on AWS CloudTrail. Ronin X, a new foundation to promote decentralized content streaming for Web 3.0. That's your Open Source Matters for May 2022. We'll see you next month.